What's going on, y'all? Machiavelli Mills TV. Y'all hit the like button and hit the subscribe button. So, Mr. Jaleel White, I've been meaning to talk about Jaleel because he recently did an interview with the Breakfast Club. He has a book that has came out recently, and he's been doing press runs for the book, and he's been getting interviewed a lot. And he was recently doing an interview, and he had this to say about Family Matters and the Family Matters relationship with Black America and Family Matters failing to get certain kudos he feels like the show deserved. So here's his quote. Jaleel White says, being a part of the TGIF brand, the TGIF lineup on ABC included shows like Full House, Family Matters, Step by Step, Perfect Strangers, Boy Meets World, Hanging with Mr. Cooper, Clueless, Sabrina the Teenage Witch. Over the years, those were the shows in the TGIF lineup on ABC. But anyway, Jaleel White says, being a part of the TGIF brand sometimes make you feel like you don't completely belong in the pantheon of blackness. I'm going to repeat that again. He says, being a part of the TGIF brand sometimes make you feel like you don't completely belong in the pantheon of blackness. Blackness has been treated as a very monolithic experience in Hollywood. If it's not a hood story, then it's not a black story. And sometimes I feel left out of that. It's interesting how we look at ourselves as black people. He went and said a few things between that, but he said it's interesting how we look at ourselves as black people, right? He says Family Matters doesn't sit at the top of, Family Matters doesn't sit at the top of the polls for great black shows. If you poll black people and ask them what were their favorite black TV shows, Family Matters wouldn't sit at the top of the polls. He named shows like Martin and Living Single and stuff like that that would come first. And he would we would be at the bottom of those polls for black TV shows. But if you ask about family shows, then we probably would be one of the top shows. But it's interesting how we see ourselves as black people, because this show is not looked at and given the kudos for being a black show like that, like other shows are giving that kudos. So, y'all, a lot of things ran through my mind when I heard Jaleel White say this. First of all, let me just say this. Jaleel seems to be seeking validation from a crowd of people he pushed against at times. To me personally, I think Jaleel resents black culture for not allowing him to be separate from the Steve Urkel character. Steve, listen, even if the show is not at the top of the polls, a lot of people I know loved Family Matters. That's one of my father's favorite sitcoms. I remember when there would be marathons of Family Matters on. This is when VCRs was still a thing. My dad would record the marathons so he can go back and watch Family Matters. He loved that show, and I loved it. A lot of people love the show for real. I think, though, yeah, he does feel resentment towards the black community or black culture for what he perceives as us now not allowing him to get into other roles as other characters because we saw him as Urkel. But that's a testament to how well he played that role, how believable it was, and all of that. And I think he feels a way about that. A lot of actors, it's a lot of actors that do that. They don't like them being looked at as one role. They play a role so well and for so long that they get known for that role most, and they feel like, oh, I'm tired of just being known for that role, know me for something else. But it was a popular show, right? And when he says, I'm gonna say this too, because he says blackness has been treated as a very monolithic experience in Hollywood. If it's not a hood story, then it's not a black story. I beg to differ. He named listen, Living Single was not a hood show. It was black women, and it was black men on the show, and it was unapologetically black, but it wasn't hood, though. You know what I'm saying? But it was just a show with black folks, and it was a black experience. See, black experience is not always just hood. So when he says Living Single and Martin, Martin wasn't hood, though. Martin was funny. It was unapologetically black, but hood. He act like Martin was Menace to Society or something. You feel me? Boys in the Hood. No. Bernie Mac. That was a black show, but it wasn't hood. Now Bernie, a brother from the South Side of Chicago, but on the show, he was just a black man that was just black, authentically himself, Raising Black Kids with a Black Wife. My Wife and Kids, a show that gets a lot of kudos. All demographics of Black people like My Wife and Kids. That's one of the shows, like a show that my grandmama loved. My grandmother was in her 70s and 80s. She loved that show. My auntie and stuff in her 50s, she loved the show. My little cousins, younger cousins and us, we loved the show. You know what I mean? But they was Black, but they wasn't hood. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't hood on there. So I think this is him projecting. And what this is that I think Jaleel has a troubled relationship with Black America due to the fact that I believe he thought him playing Steve Urkel, he thought him being that character on TV would get him the girls that he liked growing up, the girls he wanted. Okay? And some of y'all might think I'm reaching, but stay with me, as Ocho Cinco say on Nightcap. Stay with me now. It's like Jaleel. So I've heard people review his book. In his book, he talks about all these negative relationships he's had with Black women. And he starts dating shit back to when he was 13 with Bianca Lawson, right? Which was at one point, what's my man's name? What's her father's name? Godly. He was married to Tina Knowles. What is my man's name, man? Damn. Now it's Bianca Lawson's father. Y'all know him. Richard Lawson. That's her father, right? Bianca Lawson, beautiful woman. They 13. He talking about, oh, I think if I wasn't Urkel, I think he kind of like insinuated that she was trying to like get next to him for a break in the industry or something along that lines. Brother, how people been famous for a long time? She didn't need your name and your clout to get into the industry. You feel me? How people was famous before you was even on TV, you know? But again, also, y'all were 13. Y'all were kids. Why are you talking about this situation with y'all with little itty bitty kids? And I think what it is, I think Jaleel, like a lot of Black men in the 80s and 90s who were considered nerdy, a lot of them wanted to talk to specific type of girls. Girls who they knew obviously were not interested in them. Girls that they knew, you know, they only wanted to talk to the star basketball players and stuff like that, right? And Jaleel, I think, thought him being on TV would gain him access to those certain type of Black women. And when he didn't get that access, he went to this whole thing of, oh, the girls only like hood dudes. The girls only like hood dudes. He actually put up a tweet about this. Now, again, I believe, and I remember seeing a tweet or something about him talking about back in the day, sisters wasn't checking for dudes unless you was a street dude, unless you was a hood dude, unless you was a thug type brother. All this and all of that, he was saying that. But do you think Darius McCrary had a problem? Now, I know what Darius McCrary is on right now. But do you think Darius McCrary, do you think he had a problem getting girls? He wasn't no thugged out hood type like that. Morris Chestnut wasn't no thugged out hood brother like that. You feel me? But he had some swagger, he had charisma, etc. He was able to get the girl. You know, and I think with Jaleel, a lot of times he shot too high above the fence, and because I think he wanted to live as Stefan Urkel, his character when Steve Urkel would get cool and get in the little machine and get cool. He looked at himself in that ilk, and he tried to shoot at the real, I guess, a real high caliber woman, not high caliber. Because a high caliber woman doesn't have to just be looking like a woman in a centerfold. I think he wanted to shoot at certain girls, model looking type girls that weren't interested in him. And when it didn't happen, he felt resentment towards the Black community because he talk about, you know, he talks about this whole thing about Blackness only looking like hood stuff. He talks about that a lot. And I think it's in relation to him and his trying to date certain women who were not into him, right? If you talk to a lot of older Black, even when I made that video and I said some weeks back, are Black women into nerdy Black guys? And I said, yeah, there are Black women who are also nerdy, who like nerdy Black guys. There are Black women who are not nerdy, who still like nerdy Black guys. The problem is a lot of the nerdy guys, they want Bernice Burgos. They want Evelyn Lozada. They want goddamn Buffy the Body. They want Jada Waiter. They want Black China. They want girls, these big ass booties and like the girls that they know only gonna be talking to dope boys that's getting a whole lot of money or athletes. and they think now that that girl don't want to talk to you, now the world is ending. Damn, black girls don't like me. Woe is me, the black girl don't like me. Listen, I am knowledgeable that there are black women who are not attracted to nerds. There have been a lot of them that do not like nerds at all, but there are black women who like nerdy guys. I went to school with them at Morgan Park High School on the south side of Chicago, a place where I saw black women and black men were not monolithic, right? So, yeah, I think his problem is he thought him being on TV and was going to get him certain type of caliber of girls, and he thought he looked at himself as Stefan Urkel, and when certain girls didn't see that he wanted, now all the black girls don't like me, and now he has this funny relationship with black community, and now he looking at it like, oh, if you ain't hood, you ain't getting no kudos and nothing. If you black and you ain't hood, dog, times have changed. This is 2024. You know that ain't true though, dog. Even the shows he named, Martin in Living Single, I was gonna say in Living Single, Martin in Living Color. I be goddamn trying to mix them two names up. But I love Living Single. You feel me? Khadijah, Maxine Shaw, attorney at law. You feel me? Like, come on, man. That my mama loved that show. That wasn't hood. That was just black folks being unapologetically black. Even the Cosby Show, right? That's a show with upstanding black folks who had great careers, who were affluent, and even through that, they still felt black. Even though they didn't have money problems. You can't tell me Claire Huxtable wasn't a black ass mama, man. She ain't take no BS, man. She cutting on what? She got sharp tongue with it. You disrespect, oh, she gonna demonstrate. Just remind me of how my mama was, man. You feel me? Now, she wasn't cussing on there like my mama, but the way she wasn't taking no BS and all of that, that was a black family. So I think Jaleel is having this whole, oh, the black community don't love you if you ain't hood, because of his relationship with dating black women. And as he's gotten older, you saw the brother got a baby with a white girl. He got a baby. I mean, he just married a white woman. He been dating a lot of white women. And that's cool. I'm not getting mad at no brother who do that. Y'all, that's y'all thing. Do what you want to do. Love who you want to love. But I think Jaleel, like a lot of dudes from the 80s and 90s, even in that video where I talked about do black women like nerdy guys? I had a lot of men like, no, they never liked us, woo, whoa, whoa, and all of that. And I'm like, I'm sure with some girls that liked you, Brianna and Jim, and Brianna and Crystal in science class liked you, but shit, you wanted Bernice Burgos. You feel me? You wanted the big fat, I'm not the big fat, the big booty. You feel me? You wanted the girl with the fat ass booty. You feel me? All of that with the centerfold looking girl that you know wasn't finna be checking for you. And when you couldn't get her, now it's revenge of the nerds. Don't nobody like me. These black women can't stand us. Fuck all you black girls. That's what it turned to. And I think he let his relationship, his failed dating attempts with certain black women he wanted dictate his relationship with black folks. And I think he feel like too, we saw him as the nerdy guy based upon that character. And so because that character painted him as a nerdy guy, he was that character, he also felt like he couldn't get girls he wanted. And now he got this certain relationship with the black community. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm gonna say this too. When he talked about Hollywood, looking at if you ain't hood, you ain't really a black show. Again, he resents black culture for not allowing him to be separate from the Steve Urkel character. But Jaleel, we loved you as Steve Urkel. We didn't have no problem with you, brother. But we weren't the ones to typecast you. Hollywood did that. Hollywood did that, Jaleel. Aim that resentment at Hollywood, not towards black America. Because we ain't got no beef with you. We don't. You know what I'm saying? But again, I think Jaleel's failed attempts to date the certain black women he wanted allowed him to now, man, if you ain't hood, you ain't black now. Shoot. And he feels like that he's talked about it. Oh, the black girls wasn't checking for you. You wasn't street and hood. And, because of them, I guess his failed attempts at getting certain girls, now it's, oh, you ain't hood, you ain't black. Like, Jaleel, come on now. Come on, dog. Like, that's what it is. I think he's letting that dictate his relationship with black America. No, bro, we ain't your enemy. We love Steve Urkel, man. We loved the Family Matters growing up, man. But, like, come on, dog. I think it's unfair for him to be like, oh, we got to look at ourselves as black America. No, we know we not monolithic, dog. Stop.